Now on CoastTV News.
The future of short-term rentals in Ocean City, how the town council plans to move forward.
Parking in Rehoboth Beach, why it may actually get cheaper this summer.
Epstein survivors speak as controversy continues. More bombshell revelations today.
Looks like we're going to enjoy at least one more normal winter day before the temperatures really start to turn on us.
This is CoastTV News at 5.
Council members scaling back on proposed rental restrictions. Good evening. I'm Madeline Overturf.
And I'm Charlie Sakaitis. We begin tonight with short-term rentals in Ocean City.
Short-term rentals in neighborhoods have caused a handful of proposed regulations by the council, and today the town dismissed 2 of them. CoastTV News reporter Kevin Zappe is live in Ocean City. Kevin, there were hours of debate over proposed restrictions.
Maddie, the council started at 1 p.m. today with their meeting and it ended just an hour ago. And the council ultimately decided to do nothing. So rentals will stay the same for now. The town was considering capping short-term rental licenses at 10% in those residential areas and mobile home communities. But that was shot down. Another idea would have required rental properties to post signs in their yards. That also was struck down. Council members said they couldn't come to a clean decision and are struggling, so they are pressing the pause button. The mayor voices displeasure with the inaction, saying he thinks it's a mistake that Ocean City is not going to change anything. One idea that was floated for future discussion was having a stricter zero tolerance for rentals who break rules. According to the Ocean City manager, since this workshop essentially shot down these ordinances, they won't be brought up to a future council meeting unless the council president asks for it. I'm Kevin Zappe, live in Ocean City, CoastTV News.
In just a few months, meters like this one, they're going to be uncovered, and it'll be difficult to find a parking spot here in the nation's summer capital. Right now, it's $4 an hour to park from May 15th to September 15th, but at Monday's meeting, a city commissioner asked the assistant city manager about lowering the rate during lighter traffic weekdays like Tuesday through Thursday. Assistant City Manager Evan Miller said they do have the means to configure the system. It just takes time to set up the programming.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends who live in Lewis and Millsboro and Milton, and they just don't come here in the summer. You have to go early in the morning or else you can't, and even going to church. We have a lot of people who don't come down to church anymore if you have to pay after 10 o'clock in the morning.
The concept has been talked about for over a year, but commissioners say probably won't happen this summer. One commissioner says this needs to be a priority for next year, and some studies on congestion pricing need to be done. This brings us to our CoastTV poll. We want to know, what is the biggest parking problem in Rehoboth?
Let's take a look at the results so far. 46% say limited spaces, 52% say high cost, 2% say enforcement issues. Right now, nobody's confused about the meters.
We do have a comment from Cindy. She says, they should have built a parking building that blends in with the surroundings. See how Annapolis made their parking garages blend in with the surrounding architecture?
Interesting comment. If you haven't voted yet or left a comment, you can still do that, coasttvnews.com or our mobile app.
And we're taking a live look into Laurel right now as we check in with our First Alert Chief Meteorologist, Paul Williams.
Right now, we are basically getting ready for some breezy conditions to really take over for Wednesday. And right now, we've just had a newly issued small craft advisory that kicks in Wednesday going into Thursday, won't expire until about 6 o'clock. Now, that's for Thompsonville, Slaughter Beach, Broadkill Beach, as well as Lewis. Now, we're also expecting somewhat blustery and breezy conditions to move down towards, not only from Lewis, but over towards Rehoboth, down towards Ocean View, and then the Fenwick Island area for about 25-mile-per-hour winds. But generally speaking, we're still staying quiet, and we do have a small craft advisory in effect throughout the entire Chesapeake Bay area. Well, tomorrow, we're looking for temperatures to stay either right at the norm or slightly above the norm for this time of the year. And so that's going to feel almost, mild and spring-like, but we have limited cloud cover for right now, but we'll see just a little more in the way of some sunshine. Now, we could see a quick little spritz push through. We'll talk about the timing of that in a moment. Till then, back to you.
The Seaford Police Department has released information on a drug arrest that happened last Thursday. Police officers say that around 9:40 p.m. they found a parked car with warrants tied to the owner. When an officer approached, they say Arius Cannon, who was wanted and in the car, was there. After a search, Seaford police found 14.2 grams of crack cocaine, 1.17 grams of suspected heroin, and distribution paraphernalia. Cannon was charged with possession, distribution, and fugitive-related charges.
In Del Mar this morning around 4 a.m., firefighters say they were called to a fire. Upon arrival on East Pine Street, they found a detached garage. Now, the fire was happening there, accidentally caused by a chicken coop heat lamp that ignited. Del Mar said, though, good news, nobody was hurt. Check this out. We have new images. The first major clue in the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. You see the images on your screen now. Investigators want you to take a close look at the man who is seen on camera. We have video too. They're calling him a subject of interest. Watch, he's walking up to the doorbell. Now, these images were previously inaccessible, but were recovered using the backbone system of that doorbell, which this man is removing at the moment. You can see the man is armed with gloves, a backpack, and he is tampering with Nancy Guthrie's Ring camera. Investigators still do not have that camera. They're hoping anybody who sees these images can locate the person based on their walk, their stature, or even some of the limited facial features that you can see.
Lawmakers have started reviewing unredacted files related to the Jeffrey Epstein case. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick facing scrutiny for his past statements on his relationship with Epstein.
And as NBC reporter Gary Grumbach shows us, survivors have now gathered to introduce Virginia's law, which seeks to get rid of the statute of limitations that have denied survivors their day in court.
Facing bipartisan criticism over his ties to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, in a Senate hearing today, pushing back against suggestions he and the late convicted sex offender were friends.
Of these millions and millions of documents, there may be 10 emails connecting me with him, probably about 10 emails connecting me with him over a 14-year period.
But recently released documents from the Justice Department show Lutnick and Epstein had a number of interactions, even after Epstein was convicted in 2008 of soliciting the prostitution of a minor. Documents show Lutnick had lunch with his family on Epstein's private island in 2012.
We had lunch on the island. That is true, for an hour, and we left with all of my children, with my nannies and my wife, all together. We were on family vacation.
The issue is not that you engaged in any wrongdoing in connection with Jeffrey Epstein, but that you totally misrepresented the extent of your relationship with him to the Congress, to the American people, and to the survivors of his despicable criminal and predatory acts.
A growing number of Democrats and at least one Republican now calling on Lutnick to step down. Lutnick refusing to answer questions from reporters.
Did you have any financial involvement with Jeffrey Epstein? Why did you keep contact with Jeffrey Epstein after he pled guilty to sex crimes?
Epstein survivors had long claimed that Epstein's association with high-powered individuals enabled him to abuse young women. Today, survivors gather on Capitol Hill to announce legislation called Virginia's Law, named after the late Virginia Robert Giuffre, one of Epstein's most vocal accusers. It would eliminate the statute of limitations for sex traffickers.
Virginia's law does more than honor her legacy. It protects the future of every survivor. It says legislatively and legally, we see you, we believe you, and what happened to you matters.
As Epstein survivors continue their calls for accountability, Attorney General Pam Bondi will face lawmakers on Wednesday for a hearing where the Epstein files and the millions of pages still not released is expected to come up. Gary Grumbach, NBC News, Washington.
More sports complex funding. What's going to Kent County?
And finally, temperatures are going to return to the norm for this time of the year, but how long will we stay that way is the question.
But first, over 800 acres of land, you see it here, eyed for an emergency training center and course. What County Council said about it today.
This is Coast TV News at 5.
Sussex County plans show Delaware State Police and the state's Office of Highway Safety are behind this massive plan to build an emergency vehicle operations training course, vehicle storage, and classrooms.
One man in Sussex County says having this is a lot better than having more homes.
This is basically infrastructure that for training, if they're going to use it for 20 or 30 years, I mean, I have no issue with that.
Although 839 acres were listed, Delaware's Office of Highway Safety representative said only 21 acres of the land will be used for the project. County Council approved the conditional use needed for this project. Plans do not show a timeline.
Flu, RSV, and COVID rates are falling, according to Tidal Health, so they're lifting the mask mandates at all locations today. But they urge the community to be careful with disease transmission. So, again, don't visit patients when you're sick. Please wash your hands, cover your cough, just do it. Tidal Health says they'll continue to monitor respiratory virus rates. And coming up next, Paul Williams in the Coast TV Weather Center with your full forecast after this.
Well, just to kind of let you know how everything is really context, I think tomorrow at 47 degrees, I'm thinking about t-shirts and sweats kind of a day. I mean, that's just how cold it has been and how a regular day is going to feel just that mild in comparison. Now, in Lewis right now, we're in the 40s, and it actually doesn't feel half bad, to be quite honest. Dew point temperature is 31. Now, we are going to settle into the upper 30s by later tonight with increasing cloud cover. Now, the one feature about Wednesday you got to keep in mind is that we're expecting for the winds to pick up momentum, and unfortunately, it's going to switch. Instead of out of the south like today, it's going to come out of the northwest, which means it's going to be a cold, cutting kind of breeze. So much so that we have now a newly issued small craft advisory along the Atlantic side of the Delmarva Peninsula, at least right down until you get just shy of Ocean City, meaning 25-mile-per-hour winds. Now, overall, we're looking pretty clear as far as precipitation is concerned, but we could get a little random sprinkle throughout the overnight. But since we're going to be so far above freezing, not really that big a deal. Overnight lows, for example, in the 40s, 41 in Lewis, 44 in Georgetown, 44 Selbyville, Ocean Pines, 42 Bethany Beach, just as an example. So we go at 3 o'clock in the morning, we freeze it here because this is about the coolest time period, around 3:30 and 39 degrees. And then that's when that sprinkle is going to push through, and then it's out of the way. So I'm not overly concerned about that, and neither should you be. And we're going to be above freezing, so that's going to be helpful as well. Northwest winds consistently by Wednesday afternoon, temperatures in the mid-40s, which is where we're supposed to be. Thursday morning, we start off just below freezing, and by the afternoon, we're not moving much. We're going to stay in the upper 30s, but that's still a break compared to where we have been. Now, the winds are going to be shifting out of the northwest, so that's a cutting breeze at about 29-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And then by 3:30, we go up to about, let's say, 30 to 35-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Thursday becomes a little more pronounced. Thursday is going to be a drop in temperature and an increase in the wind. So Thursday is going to feel a lot more uncomfortable, especially with 40-mile-per-hour winds just kind of howling in that direction. Now, we continue to track the temperatures, and the trend has been all blue, meaning that we have been below the norm for the last, really, since the end of last month and most of this month in general. And the wind chills are going to stay in the teens for us Friday. And then as we go into Saturday, we're still going to be in the lower 20s. Quick note about Sunday. By noontime, we're looking for some scattered showers, and then by 10 o'clock, that's when it's going to move over a good portion of the central and southern portions of the Delmarva Peninsula. And we're going to progressively get cooler as you go from Wednesday from 46 down to 39 for us on Friday. So as we wrap this up, here's what we are expecting. For tonight, 33, normal chill, 45 for tomorrow, above normal almost, and then Thursday, that's when the cold steps back in. Finally, here's a look at your extended forecast.
Sports in Delaware are scoring big. 7 complexes across the state sharing $10 million from the Delaware Tourism Office Sports Tourism Capital Investment Fund. The goal is to grow sports tourism and attract out-of-state visitors. We showed you some in Millsboro, but one of the biggest winners is near Frederick at the DE Turf Complex, getting $4.15 million for new fields and a dome. The funding is going to have a major impact on the local economy, the Turf says.
Only way we can do this is a fund like that, right? To do these, get a dome, add more fields, bring people in. And we want to continue to do that. We want to continue to be the leader in the country to operate sports facilities, and that brings economic impact.
The funding is spread across all 3 counties and includes projects such as upgrades to turf, courts, seating, parking, and more.
A deadly 3-car crash in Laurel. DSP says on February 7th at around 6:25 p.m., a Chevrolet was heading west in a crossover at Sussex Highway and Mount Zion Road. Troopers say the Chevy tried to cross and was hit by an Infiniti heading south, and then the Infiniti was hit by a Ford. 43-year-old Letitia Horsey from Milford later died. 4 others were involved with minor injuries at most. Coming up tonight on the Delmarva Sports Network, your game of the night live at 6:30 when Seaford plays Woodbridge in boys basketball. Then catch the final score at 10:30 exclusively on DSN Plus, along with that game we just mentioned at 6 p.m. Then at 6:30 more boys hoops. Wycomico will take on Mardella at Polytech, play in Sussex Central. That's also at 6:30. Smyrna heading to Caesar Rodney, and then at 7, Gunston plays Saints Peter and Paul in girls basketball.
The Olympics are airing only here on Coast TV, so let's take a look at the medal count so far. Norway is on top with 12 medals, 6 gold. Italy, 11 medals, just 2 gold though. Japan has 8 medals in total.
Don't forget the Winter Olympics run through the 22nd. That's only here on Coast TV.
And a programming note for you, due to the Winter Olympics from February 9th through the 20th, you can watch Jeopardy on our sister station, Fox 21. It is the same show, the same time, just a different channel while we are running the Olympics.
Coming up, a Del Mar man arrested, what DSP say led to a stabbing. Stay tuned on Coast TV News at 5.
Delaware State Police have arrested a Del Mar man around 2:10 a.m. Troopers say they were called to a home on Bi-State Boulevard for an assault with a weapon. Before arrival, troopers say Mario Padilla Caballero broke into the home, and when a 40-year-old man arrived, a fight broke out, and police say Caballero stabbed the man. He's been arrested and charged with 4 felonies and 3 other charges. It wasn't a Merry Christmas for retailers this year. Data from the Commerce Department shows retail sales in December didn't increase from November. Economists expected them to jump 0.4%. Last year, people kept buying despite fears around the stagnating job market and inflation. December's numbers suggest those fears may finally be impacting how much shoppers are willing to spend. The data was delayed due to last year's government shutdown.
In a new analysis, ICE repeatedly held people in custody after courts ordered their immediate release. It indicates the Trump administration imposed released conditions that judges never authorized. Some records show judges have used words like contempt and non-compliance to threaten the Justice Department. One writes, ICE probably violated more court orders last month than some federal agencies have ever.
If you think the U.S. is getting more corrupt, you're not alone. The country slipped to its lowest position ever on Transparency International's Corruption Perceptions Index. Now, if you're not familiar, it's a scale that measures the perception of corruption in a country by both experts and business people. The U.S. fell 1 slot to 29th place, tied with the Bahamas. The U.S. has been on a downward trend for the past 10 years. Here's a live look outside into Ocean City. One more check on your forecast after this.
Coming up new on Coast TV News at 6, Wycomico leaders attempting to keep an agreement intact.
Well, we'd like to keep this nice normal weather intact, but it's probably going to fade on us pretty soon here. We're at Dover right now at 35 degrees, and if we're going to drop and stay in the mid-30s for the rest of the evening with partly to mostly cloudy skies. Now, we do have some blustery conditions picking up momentum with the winds. That's probably our only caveat or concern for Wednesday. The wind's out of the west at about northwest, at approximately 25 miles per hour. That's going to be a little gusty and a little bit robust. Now, observe highs. Well, listen, we're looking at the highs have started to escalate up towards 48 degrees, which has been a nice change of pace. But then we're going to have to look forward to it going back to being cold again as early as Thursday and Friday and Saturday. So we are looking for the chill to get back into style. So let's enjoy this somewhat normal kind of day for Wednesday. By the way, our umbrella giveaway winner is Nancy Donnelly of Ocean Pines, Maryland. Congratulations, courtesy of Paul Davis, property restoration experts. And if you want to keep up with your forecast, simply call our weather line, 443-880-9100. Your forecast is just a call away, sponsored by the law offices of Brockstead, Mandalis, and Federico. Finally, here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast, a nice normal day on Wednesday.
We love normal. Thank you,
I'll
Paul.
take it.
Yeah, right? Thanks for joining us here at 5.
For more news, more local weather, download our Coast TV News app.
Inside Edition is up next.
And we'll see you later tonight for Coast TV News at 6.